Hello and thank you for joining us on NTA Nationwide. I'm Naja Atutijani. Now, Nigeria has rejected the new level of misrepresentation in the UK All-Party Parliamentary Group on International Religious Freedom report on Nigeria, which was launched a few days ago. The report, which also acknowledges the importance of accurate, unbiased, depoliticized and truthful information when it comes to understanding the realities in Nigeria, however, notes that when uncritical attention is afforded to critics with dubious intentions, it only becomes harder for both the government and people of Nigeria to engage in constructive dialogue in resolving differences and upholding what is enshrined in the Constitution. Meanwhile, the federal government this Friday says it has expended close to 4.5 billion naira to 31 federal teaching and medical centers in the country on payment of hazard and inducement allowances for April and May this year. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngigi, disclosed this after briefing President Muhammadu Buhari on the actions taken so far to halt the ongoing strike embarked on by members of the National Association of Resident Doctors early this week. And details will come in our subsequent bulletin. Confirming Nigeria as a polio-free nation by August 2020 is gradually becoming a reality as the African Regional Commission for Certification of Polio Eradication accepts the country's wild polio virus-free documentation. The chairman of the ARCC, Professor Rose Leke, gave the indication at a meeting with the Nigerian team led by the Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shoaib and partners. Professor Rose Leke stated that ARCC, which is an organ of the World Health Organization, has for the past years assessed the performance of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency in polio eradication, and the results have been quite impressive. The chairman said the commission has also assessed the documentation of the progress made so far as submitted by the NPHCDA and found that it tallies with the reality on ground and therefore congratulates Nigeria on the feat. In the same vein, the Executive Director, NPHCDA, Dr. Faisal Shoaib, has said it was an amazing moment in history to have had the polio eradication documentation accepted by the ARCC, and added that the acceptance paves way for the country's polio-free status to be officially declared next month at a meeting of Ministers of Health in Africa. The NPHCDA boss commended President Muhammadu Buhari for his support and foresight, as well as partners for being the constant driving force and motivation behind the efforts of frontline workers. Following the ongoing strike action by the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors and ongoing reconciliation talks between union leaders and the government, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, who went around hospitals in the FCT, reports on the impact of the strike and other matters arising.
The Minister of Health directed that all federal hospitals, or even all hospitals, should open a register for all resident doctors who are supposed to be at work. And so we are here at the National Hospital to find out the situation. Activities at the National Hospital seem to be at the lowest ebb. Spokesperson of the hospital, Tayo Hastrop, says the resident doctor strike is still on, but their consultant and other professional health workers are attending to patients.
The resident doctors are attending to COVID-19 patients, as our hospital is an isolation center. They are still being faithful to it.
The Federal Medical Center, Abuja, also confirmed the ongoing strike. Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Professor Saad Ahmed, says they are yet to get any official directive from the Minister of Health, but that all activities at the hospital is under control.
We are actually running the clinics, even though there is a scale down on activities.
Some patients confirmed activities at the hospital.
No problem, they are attending us.
My appointment was yesterday, so it asked me to come today, so I saw the doctor. Everything went fine.
Okay. Meanwhile, resident doctors in the FCT have not joined the national strike action as all hospitals under the Abuja hospital management are fully operational. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
And next, more reports with Michael in Lagos. Hello.
Hello, Najatu. Lagosians are appealing to the relevant authorities to look into the ongoing strike by resident doctors as COVID-19 cases spike. John Adams now tells us more.
I'm standing right in front of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital where patients are trooping in and out, an indication that activities are ongoing. But the activities are not as they used to be. They have been a little bit crippled by the ongoing strike. I have with me Ahmed, who will tell us what he observed inside.
In general, activities are going on there, but not really as active as I used to be because I'm a resident of here, so I do come here often.
The doctors, they are doing a very great job. Our government should please come to their aid.
Why would they go on strike at this moment when people need them? I don't really know why.
They said nobody wants strike. We don't want it. We are not going to withdraw all our members, all our services. Those are in the COVID center, and for the fact that we are in the pandemic period. So okay, we'll give consensus. We will allow those doctors who are in the isolation centers, to continue work for the next 2 weeks. After which, if nothing is tangible or concrete comes from the government, then we'll sit again.
The chairman, Medical Advisory Committee of the hospital, has assured residents that there is no cause for alarm because there are consultants on ground attending to patients.
Our accident and emergency, both adults and children, are still open, and we make do with those that we have around, and also we have admissions. So we have patients admitted on our wards, and we've had a meeting with the consultant 3 days ago, I think on Tuesday, 4 days ago, and we all agree that we need to take care of those patients early the time, continue to take care of them until they are discharged.
In Lagos, John Adams, NTA News.
Still on health, it is a generic disorder that affects mostly the black race. Named after a sickle shape, sickle cell is not easy to manage and patients go through physical pains most of their lives. Jekena Bakwe, however, reports that the conditions, if properly managed, is not a death sentence. She spoke with some Nigerians with the SS genotype about their experiences on World Sickle Cell Day.
People living with sickle cell anemia have heart-wrenching stories to tell, from excruciating pains to stigmatization. Graphics designer and undergraduate Sumisola Shulesi is 20 years old. She says growing up with sickle cell was painful.
Living with sickle cell anemia, it's like survival of the fittest. It's passing through a thick bush without any protection or cover. It's been challenging, it's been demanding.
It's not all sad news though, as 41-year-old Olutayo Adeleke and others say despite the challenges, they have been able to weather the storms and come out stronger.
Sickle cell is not something that is a death sentence, so if it is properly managed, you can be able to live a stress-free life.
They should take their routine drugs religiously, eat balanced diet, rest, and do a bit of exercise.
Nigeria, according to the World Health Organization, has the highest burden of sickle cell anemia in the world, with an annual infant death rate of 150,000.
Some of them could come up with very bad crises like stroke, like paramprism, like even what we call acute chest syndrome.
As old as the disease is in Nigeria, many still have a negative ideology about the condition, especially the medical myth that people with the disorder died prematurely. This, however, has been proven not to be true. Alhaja Ashiata Aduke Onikoyi Laguda lived with sickle cell for 9 decades. She died early 2020 at 95. Medical experts advise people to be aware of their genotype as a major step towards preventing birthing of sickle cell babies. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakuya, NTA News.
That was a beat from Lagos. Is now back to Abuja for more stories on Nationwide.
Thank you, Michael. And still on sickle cell awareness, the gift of good health is taken for granted by many people. Yet some individuals are not so fortunate as they are born with disorders they have to live with due to their genetic predisposition. Sickle cell disease is one of such. Uche Ugochukwu tells us more as the world marks Sickle Cell Awareness Day.
The prevalence of sickle cell traits ranges between 10 and 45% in parts of sub-Saharan Africa, with Nigeria recording about 20 to 30%. 39-year-old Mark and 19-year-old Hope are among the 2 to 3% of Nigeria's population with tales of excruciating bone pains, bacterial infections and anemia due to sickle cell disorder.
Get to have serious pains, excruciating pains really.
A lot of challenges, like now, my mates, they are reading for their exams, but I'm here. Before, I was still like 3 years, I haven't been to the hospital, but now, because of exposure to cold and not taking drugs regularly, and water again, the crisis started coming regularly.
Intending couples are advised to know their genotypes before marriages.
Imagine you as a mother taking care of a child about 18, 19 years, cleaning her up, wearing her things. It's not easy. That this condition come is not her fault. It's not neither our own fault, because that at that time we're not exposed so much that we know to go and do tests, or genotype tests, all those things before we get married.
For them to prevent this crisis, we encourage them to avoid strenuous activity, because that also predisposes them to crisis. For people that are in school, we don't allow them to do all the rigorous activities that happens in school. So that's another way they do to prevent it. They sleep under malaria-treated nets so that they won't have malaria infection. They try to keep themselves warm, especially during cold season.
Although Mark is not in serious condition as Hope, he appeals for legislation to assist sickle cell carriers in society.
I am a graduate, I am a civil servant, really, but a lot are not fortunate like some of us to be employed, and it's a tough one. Trying to manage to get drugs, trying to get finance to come to the hospital when in pains, and a lot of challenges, particularly when the complications as a result of the blood challenge starts coming. It's a tough one. We need help. Government need to subsidize a lot of things for sufferers so that they can live up to their potentials.
World Sickle Cell Day aims at raising awareness about the disorder, which symptoms manifest from age 5 to 6 months. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
We'll pause for some messages now. Do stay tuned.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
Wetin be this coronavirus thing? Na true?
You see this coronavirus wey be COVID-19, na the whole world palava o, and e don dey kill many people for China, Italy, UK, US, Spain, and even for other countries dem.
Okay, wetin come be the reason wey dem say make everybody tanda for house?
Na because if e dey waka pium go carry am from person wey don get am, you go carry come give your family dem. Na so the thing take dey kill other people for other countries.
Okay, wetin come be that social distancing sef?
You see social distance. Now make we no come close because this thing na from air and touch now we dey contact am. We suppose dey at least 6 foot away from each other every time.
So okay, no be only to wash your hand and to sanitize am alone.
Make we no take this washing of hand thing take play but make we come together, join hand as we take pursue Ebola, pursue this coronavirus. Make we be each other keepers now.
As a strong immune system increases the chances of victims surviving COVID-19, a corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build your immunity. Stop corruption now. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on this toll-free number 0800 2255 4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
NTA TV College Jos, an affiliate of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, is currently admitting students for its ordinary diploma programs in television journalism, television production, and television engineering. Interested candidates are advised to obtain relevant information concerning eligibility at our website at www.ntatvc.edu.ng or marketing department of any NTA station nationwide. For further information, contact Assistant Director, Marketing, NTA TV College Jos on 0803-314-4383 or the Academic Office of the College on 0806-980-9807. Announcer, Registrar.
Okay guys, let's do this. Action!
You can deceive everyone, but you certainly cannot deceive me. I see you.
But if the package is faulty, there'll be no buyers.
So I suggest you sit down and have a talk with your husband.
Once you have faith, everything is possible.
You heard him, right?
You needed help and I helped you.
This place will do so. They also work in wolves.
You mean you still work for Matthew Osage?
What?
Project Restart in full swing. Arsenal will be hoping for a restart of their own as they try to push for a European spot when they take on Brighton. Watch Brighton versus Arsenal on Premier League Live this Saturday from 2:30 p.m. on NTA and NTA Sports. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Access Bank and Baba Ijebu.
Thanks for staying tuned. Nigeria is currently battling the novel coronavirus pandemic, but what many have termed a worse emerging epidemic is the upsurge in rape and child molestation cases across the country. Development gender advocates frown at this as they call for the review of the criminal justice system and enforcement of the implementation of the Child Rights Act at all state levels.
Me, I was wearing a very flared skirt given to me by an aunt in the church, an adult. Just imagine, he just had his way. I was crying, screaming. Nobody could hear my voice. It was a very horrible experience. As I'm speaking now, I can still see the picture of myself that day.
Tamara Ebiwe, sharing her experience in the hands of a rapist. It was the high point of the conversation of upsurge of rape cases on Good Morning Nigeria today. A number of triggers have been identified for the upsurge of rape and violence against women and children. One of them being the COVID-19 lockdown.
A total ban on hawking by our
about girl child, because these are platforms that provide the perverts, the delinquents in our midst.
Our criminal justice system must be rejigged. It's not about I don't want to give evidence, I want to kill this. They have to be dragged to the court. Otherwise, the proof of our civility is that people are compelled to obey the law. Ordinary people will not obey the law. But we must bring people under subjection. You must, if we don't compel people to obey the law, then forget it, we're not a civilized society.
Mr. President, there and then he approved and directed the Inspector General of Police to take appropriate action and ensure every reported case is properly investigated and prosecuted.
In Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NTA News.
Similarly, the United Kingdom has restated its commitment to tackling conflict-related sexual violence all over the world. This is coming 6 years on after the United Nations adopted June 19th as the annual International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict. This year, the UK is announcing the launch of the Murad Code for global survivors, which will help prevent the re-traumatization of the victims. The Murad Code will, among other things, set expected standards of behavior which government bodies, NGOs and aid workers should follow when gathering evidence from survivors of sexual violence in conflict situations in order to protect their well-being. The UK is also working alongside the federal and state governments of Nigeria, individuals and civil society organizations to continue to challenge such sexual crimes perpetrated against victims in conflict and to support survivors, especially women and girls, particularly in the northeastern part of the country. Meanwhile, Evelyn Onyilo, founder Initiative for Women's Accelerated Development in Africa, has applauded commitment to tackle the increasing cases of rape, which dehumanizes women and girls. Of great concern, she says, is attention by the United Nations with the International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict, observed every 19th June to raise awareness on the need to put an end to conflict-related sexual violence such as rape, sexual slavery, forced prostitution, forced pregnancy, forced marriage, forced abortion, and enforced sterilization perpetrated against women, girls, men, or boys.
It's a good code. It's a good code because it will help, provide like psychosocial support to survivors of rape and sexual and gender-based violence. It will help them to recover. It will put them, have a closure to some of the issues that are traumatizing them. And we have seen an upsurge in rape, almost a pandemic like the coronavirus. And so this day it is very important. It shouldn't only be today. We need to focus every day on this issue because it is heinous, it is unacceptable, and our society is paying for it.
Nigerians must say no to rape. Now, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, has called for more commitment to the law by judicial officers. He made the call while swearing in the new president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongban Mensem. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okeo has the story.
63 years ago in Shandam, now Plateau State, Justice Monica Dongban Mensem now becomes the 7th president of the Court of Appeal since its establishment in 1977. She became a justice of the court in 2003 and has since established herself as a hardworking and highly intellectual justice. It is this quality that the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, called on her to carry on to her duties as the president of the Court of Appeal.
Please continue with your attitude, continue with your behavior, continue with your good work. Court of Appeal is a home of work, Court of Appeal is the home of cooperation. You have to cooperate together, all of you, from top to bottom, so that the work will continue to progress.
Speaking to NTA News, Justice Monica Dongwem-Mensing promised to sustain and improve on the judicial standards of the nation's intermediate court.
I feel challenged. I feel most honored. I will do my best and ensure that justice, as we have always known it, is applied to the best of our abilities.
To show their appreciation for the appointment, key judicial and political personalities found their way to the swearing-in.
She has made history in the lives of Plateau people, and particularly for me as a lawyer. I feel very proud that this is happening during my time.
And I'm sure she has those qualities that will make her do very well in her present position. We will not be disappointed.
Even though the second in the hierarchy of courts in Nigeria next to the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal plays a very crucial role in the polity Nigeria currently enjoys. And so the swearing-in of Justice Monica Dongwem-Mensing will go a long way in consolidating these gains, both judicially and politically. In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Edo Governor Godwin Obaseki has officially picked up the PDP party card. With this development, the governor is now a member of the PDP. The chairman of the party, Tony Azebwenwe, Chairman Ward 4 and other party officials have already received the governor. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed federal ministries to interface and come up with feasible initiatives towards achieving the administration's vision of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty within 10 years. The Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Senator George Akume, whose ministry is coordinating the Interministerial Forum, says it will have a positive effect on job and wealth creation nationwide. Mitaire Ikben reports.
When the effect of the coronavirus pandemic is biting hard on the economy, there is a consensus to link the programs and policies of federal government ministries, departments, and agencies to maximize the opportunities for job creation, poverty reduction, and wealth generation along economic corridors. The inaugural Interministerial Forum, chaired by the Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, had in attendance the Ministers of Environment, Water Resources, Industry, Trade and Investment, Agriculture and Rural Development, as well as the Governor of Ekiti State, who is the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum.
A lot is happening in ministries and parastatals. Nigerians are not aware of this, and that is the binding need for coordination of these activities with respect to job creation and welfare of Nigerians. We will continue to meet from time to time in giving effect the presidential directive on lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
Especially in the wake of the collapse of oil prices, what do we do with agriculture? What do we do with education? What do we do with infrastructure? What do we do with the digital economy, which is increasing in its relevance?
Most of the ministry have been taking advantage of low-hanging fruit already. Like you heard, environment, they have been planting millions of trees already around the country. That will involve recruiting people who will do that.
Some of the decisions reached at the meeting include the setting up of a technical committee of experts to develop an implementation strategy for the forum and the need for intergovernmental cooperation. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
The United Nations has applauded the federal government's commitment to protecting refugees in the country. This was emphasized at a media chat organized by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in partnership with the United Nations Refugee Agency to commemorate this year's World Refugee Day. Ruth Aguelio reports.
Globally, the challenges of refugees remain predominant as they struggle for survival in the midst of conflicts that has given rise to their displacements. Attention to this group of people necessitated the World Refugee Day, observed every 20th of June, to raise awareness on their protection and inclusion.
Because it demonstrates our commitment.
Different partners at this gathering are lending their voices as a way to show commitment, even as the world battles with a dire pandemic.
This year World Refugee Day was carefully crafted out as everyone can make a difference, every action counts. The government of Nigeria under President Muhammadu Buhari deployed an inclusive approach in carrying out humanitarian interventions. This is exemplified in the context-specific interventions carried out during the period of the COVID-19 pandemic, targeting the most vulnerable population, including the refugees and IDPs.
We make a strong statement today to say that we recognize you, we stand with you, and will continue to support you to a place of improved dignity and prosperity.
The recent world events have confirmed that we are one human community. Whether you're a refugee, an IDP, whether you are you or me, we all count and we all need each other.
And I'm giving a big thank you to our leaders, the Federal Ministry and the Commission of the Refugees.
The general interest is for more concerted efforts and determined actions for sustainable development and inclusive society for all. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
And still on refugees, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons has distributed agricultural input to internally displaced persons in Bauchi State to boost their farm yield. Mariam Bala reports.
Seedlings, pesticides and insecticides are intended to boost agricultural production and enhance quality yield of the IDPs and alleviate their plight. Flagging of the distribution for Bauchi State, the Federal Commissioner and National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Senator Bashir Garba Mohammed, said the Commission is worried by the plight of internally displaced persons in the country. Represented by the Special Advisor Admin of the Office, Mr. Akintunde Oyasanya, the Federal Commissioner is emphatic that lasting solution will be provided to the problems that brought about their displacement.
It is better to teach people how to fish for themselves rather than giving them fish to eat at all times. So it is our expectation that what we are giving to them, we make them to boost their agricultural production, we make them to increase their yields, they can feed from what they produce, and they can sell the surplus to make earnings that they can use to buy whatever is their needs.
The Northeast Zonal Coordinator of the Commission, Abdullahi Ahmed, and Secretary to the Bauchi State Government, Mohammed Sabiu Baba, who was represented by Director Relief and Rehabilitation, Kabiru Yusuf Kobi, assured of more support from other relevant stakeholders, promising to make judicious use of the implements so as to improve food sufficiency of the country. In Bauchi, Maria Mubala, NTA News.
Similarly, Nigerian refugees in Cameroon and Niger will be repatriated soon as all modalities have been concluded. This was the fallout of a closed-door meeting between Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum and the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs, Bashir Garba Mohammed. Hamman Jabani reports.
The partnership between Borno State Government and the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs have been further strengthened with the coming together of the two to address the lingering refugees problem for the benefit of humanity. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum and the Federal Commissioner Bashir Garba Mohammed said Nigerians in Niger and Cameroon will soon be repatriated, and arrangements have been concluded for the construction of resettlement city in Borno State.
The President has given some approvals to construct more houses in Borno State, and that government will release funds to construct more homes so that IDPs shall be returned back home.
In this resettlement city, we intend to have or to accommodate 300 households. This accommodation will comprise of 2 bedrooms of 300 and 1 bedroom each of 100.
Both stakeholders say they are committed to the partnership with promise to continuously work towards the resettlement and integration of all affected people. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
The federal government has re-strategized efforts aimed at ensuring food security in Nigeria. This follows the distribution of input to maize farmers in Kano under the Anchor Borrower Program. Awal Salisu has details.
Anchor Borrower Program is a critical component of the federal government's agricultural transformation agenda designed to encourage crop production and achieve self-sufficiency. It is also to enhance farmers' access to inputs with a view to promote enterprising skills, value addition, and create market for the produce. The program engaged more than 8,000 maize farmers in Kano State. Each farmer receives fertilizer, improved seedlings, and chemicals, among others, worth more than 160,000 naira.
And we sincerely hope that the farmers will utilize these inputs and use the inputs on their farms and produce the maize they promised to produce and repay back this loan in good time.
And I'm hoping that by the grace of God, things will be set for the farmers to get benefit and repay in time.
This effort is to increase maize production and link it to a ready-made market, as well as create job opportunities.
What we are given now is going to help us in building our farming career in life, inshallah. And it will help us one day so that we to ourselves will join in the building of the economy of this country.
This intervention in terms of agriculture assists me to boost my agricultural activities.
Each farmer is expected to return the loan after harvest. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
You're watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Do stay tuned for another break.
Shegun. How far say tomorrow still day on?
What's your tomorrow?
Community meeting now.
You know they here, Abi?
Na beggy. See, if we meet for my house, inside parlor, then go no.
This COVID-19 is not a child's play. Do one for WhatsApp or for Skype or even on Zoom. Or we just wait.
I will not negotiate
this social distancing. It is non-negotiable.
Not every infected person shows symptoms, but every infected person is contagious. Avoid large gatherings and self-isolate if you think you might have come in contact with a carrier. Your safety and the safety of others is in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
We have observed the lockdown. We have practiced the measures in order to curb the spread of the virus, but we can do better. The coronavirus spread is increasing daily, and only together can we cut down the numbers and defeat the spread of the virus. Remember, COVID-19 is not a death sentence, and a recovered patient cannot spread the disease. Do not stigmatize. Do not hesitate to report any case, or if you have come in contact with anybody that has been infected with COVID-19. If you have cough and fever, please stay at home and call your state hotline. Find state numbers at www.covid19.ncdc.gov.ng. Remember, it is for your own good and for the good of every Nigerian. Let us do better and defeat the virus. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Shabi, you still come back to this house?
Yeah, so you cannot even support your husband, eh?
Support who? I thought you said men are the head of the family.
How to get here? Allah, how to get here? Feminism is all about equal right and opportunity for women. Settle your matter in your home.
You can't keep comparing Agatha and Uchechi. Agatha is Agatha. Uchechi is Uchechi.
The number of the COVID-19 cases in Nigeria is increasing daily, with many more tests ongoing. The battle of testing, isolating, treating, and attending to the affected persons rests heavily on the shoulders of our health workers, constantly putting their lives on the line and at risk to contain this virus, save and protect the lives of millions of Nigerians. To these health workers, we at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, on behalf of millions of Nigerians, say a big thank you for all that you have done and are doing. To the security agencies enforcing the lockdown and every other frontliner, we say thank you for putting your lives on the line to save ours. There is no amount of words that can quantify our gratitude. Thank you. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
With the Premier League's Project Restart in full swing, Arsenal will be hoping for a restart of their own as they... And bye-bye, Jebu.
It's nice to know you're still watching. Now we'll go back to the story on actions being taken by the federal government to halt the ongoing strike by the National Association of Resident Doctors. Jide Onifade reports.
Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, in company of the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Hanire, and Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo San, had briefed President Muhammadu Buhari on the strike by the National Association of Resident Doctors and actions taken leading to progress towards ending the strike.
In the payment, because we are paying them for the arrears of April and May. And the payment for June will also be done immediately. These ones are sorted out. So we have expended 4.5 billion as we speak this morning for these payments.
Ngige says the federal government will facilitate a meeting between the resident doctors and the Governor's Forum to address the issues concerning state.
The issue of health is on the concurrent list. So the federal government will do their own, and the state governments are also expected to do their own. Some of their grievances are on what they feel that the state governments have not done.
Minister of Health Osage Hanire explains that the president was visibly unhappy considering the implications of the strike action at this time when all hands must be on deck to protect Nigerians from the coronavirus pandemic.
And what we have also urged the resident doctors to do is to have some trust in the system. This is a government, a regime that has always lived up to its expectations and always met its promise. And we hope that they will understand that the fight against COVID-19 in particular and the fight against all diseases in general is a collective responsibility of everybody. It is not just government as a person. We as medical professionals have an obligation on our own.
The association on Sunday had instructed its members to down tools over a shortage of personal protective equipment and poor remuneration for members as they battle the raging coronavirus pandemic. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Now, we told you earlier on in our bulletin that the African Regional Commission for Certification of Polio Eradication has accepted Nigeria's wild polio virus-free documentation as a prelude to confirming Nigeria a polio-free nation by August 2020. Let's now join the Nigerian team in the celebration of this feat via Zoom meeting.
On the shoulders of our heroes who have done so much in the fight against poliomyelitis for over 3 decades. The fight against white polio virus has been on. And we know that at this point in our lives, we have just been fortunate to be the last torchbearers to cross the finish line. But most of the amazing work has been done, and we want to recognize the frontline workers who have been very instrumental in getting us to where we are today. Without the frontline workers, we never could have been here. But beyond all of the celebrations, I want to singularly acknowledge the leadership provided by Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, who took strong and immediate steps in 2016 when we had a slip in terms of the resurgence of white polio virus. That quick action at that point, making the resources available, has made a difference in our march towards polio eradication today. But this put in their different efforts. All of the governors, the state governors who have done so much, all of the past ministers, all of the chief executive officers, all of the executive directors who have worked so tirelessly to get us to where we are today. I'm sure that we're going to be hearing a lot from a number of these past ministers, past chief executive officers, our partners, our donors, who have sacrificed so much of their lives to get us to where we are today. We also want to acknowledge that perhaps the turning point in our fight against poliomyelitis was when, as a program, as technical officers, we ceded the polio eradication program to our traditional leaders, led by His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto. All of the traditional leaders who now took polio eradication, routine immunization, and primary health care as a battle, making sure that their community members, their citizens, got the vaccines that they required. We cannot say so much and still do justice to all of the work that our partners have really done. We cannot say thank you enough to Mr. Bill Gates of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We cannot say thank you enough to Alhaji Aliko Dangote, whose patriotism, whose collaboration with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has done so much to get us to where we are today. We cannot say so much about what Rotary has done. I'm sure that all of the partners are here with us today, but we want to say thank you. But before I wrap up my opening remarks, I'd like us to observe a minute's silence for those frontline workers who paid the ultimate price when they lost their lives in active duty, making sure that kids in the most rural areas, kids in the most difficult terrains got the vaccines that they need to prevent poliomyelitis and bequeath to future Nigerians a life without the threat of poliomyelitis. May the souls of the departed rest in perfect peace. At this point, I would like to sort of set some of the thoughts. I'm sure a lot of are called upon to speak. If anybody wants to speak, please, it will be helpful for you to use the raise your hands icon to indicate that you would like to speak. If you want to be recognized, it is also important that you rename your device so that we can actually see your name and not the name of the device, such as.
Well, congratulations, Nigeria. And more good news. Physical distancing floor markings and separation of domestic departure and arrival passengers to use different boarding and exit gates to reduce contact at the airports are now in place to contain COVID-19. Emmanuel Ayemiro, who visited the domestic wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, reports that other airports are said to have put the same arrangements in place.
Beginning from the boarding gate of the Abuja domestic terminal, a simulation of what passengers are expected to do when the airport fully reopens was demonstrated using the physical distancing floor markings of 2 meters apart.
You can see the markings. They have been provided
and every passenger has to move after the other. So there is no room for coming together again. And from this place, wearing of face masks into the terminal building is compulsory.
Luggages of passengers will be infected in front of the terminals. Our footwear is too, there will be special mats that will be placed in front of the entrances. As you walk on top of these foot mats, your footwear will be disinfected. So these are some of the protocols that we expect will be in place before the resumption of flights.
Apart from temperature checks and other protocols, the terminal buildings where tickets are sold have also been marked. Passengers who are, however, going to use the escalator to the boarding arena will no longer be more than 5 as against 20 or more in the past. The new protocols have also altered the seating arrangements in the departure halls as well as the baggage claim arena.
Before now was 560 seats, but with this social distances arrangement, we are now having like 460 left. The same thing on the Terminal B, other wing of the domestic terminal. It was like 460. We now have 220.
In trying to discongest the terminal in line with the NCDC guidelines, Airport Authority says all protocol officers who usually accompany their principals into the terminals will not be allowed anymore. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Thank you, Emmanuel. And still on COVID-19, no doubt the dreaded coronavirus is having a devastating effect on all countries of the world. But for the Niger State government, the pandemic is a blessing in disguise. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday tells us more.
Niger State is blessed with a number of solid minerals, which geological experts say most are yet to be tapped. In addition to the vast arable land for agriculture, the negative impact of the novel coronavirus has made the state government look inwards and take advantage of what it has in terms of natural resources. Deputy Governor Ahmed Mohamed Keso is in the council to strengthen the existing relationship with the states and work out modalities on how to explore its natural endowments.
Nigeria is blessed. We have mineral deposits. Nigerian government, either both the state and federal government, don't have the capacity to engage all our graduates.
Niger State gave us land to work on the sorghum. From that, we've developed the little work on the extraction of ethanol and then glucose syrup. We formulated the part of the waste into animal feeds.
The cotton for textile industries.
The resources, if well exploited, they resolve, will help the state generate more revenue and also attract foreign investors, which will in turn translate to economic growth and development even during post-COVID-19. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Giant strides there. Up next, sports update with Ayodeji Makinde.